Alright, we're with Jamie. He has been testing the Giant Trance X1. Jamie, what do you think the strengths of the Giant Trance X1 are?
The strengths of this particular bike is that it's a great all-around bike. You can pretty much do anything you want as a mountain biker on this bike, whether it be a short ride, you can go out and kill the course, or if you plan on doing a 30-mile excursion, up on some mountainside and catch some technical downhills with some technical climbs, this bike will do it all. It doesn't do anything great, but does everything very well.
Okay, what would you say its weakness is?
Weakness, to be honest, I don't believe it has a weakness at this point. I have some smaller points that I found, but I mean nothing that would discourage me from actually purchasing this bike. Like I said, it did everything very well.
Okay, alright, so let's talk about the little things that you noticed that you didn't care for, or things you think could be better maybe.
Okay, one would be, I don't know that they could change it, but the position of the lever for the rear shock, obviously, it's a long reach from the saddle, so it does, for me, it requires me to stop in order to change what mode of travel, or not mode of travel, but what mode of suspension that I want for my rear. And you can purchase a kit, to install it so that it becomes handlebar mount, which is a plus, but if you don't have the money, then, it's, again, you got to stop the bike to really change it over. At least for me, I had to.
Okay, what else?
The only other thing that, was a little bit of discomfort was, again, it goes back to personal preference, saddle. But again, minor thing, I wouldn't throw it away. I'd definitely keep this particular saddle as a backup. Other than that, I wouldn't get rid of anything on this bike. I'd ride it until the wheels dropped off of it.
Okay, so we talked a little bit earlier, and we were actually out in the trail, and you remarked on the wheel set. For the money, I think this one's about $2,900, $2,899 or somewhere around there. What do you feel like the value is on that bike?
To be honest, it's incredible. I mean, because essentially, if you think about it, if you look at it at a price point, you're literally getting a lot of stuff for free, at that price retail. I mean, there's nothing on this bike that I would change. So, this is a bike that you could buy, slap some pedals on it, grab a helmet, and go. And for that price, that's really hard to do as a buy-in for, a full suspension bike, let alone a full suspension bike that's capable of doing what this bike can do. Again, we, ran this downhill, climbed the same downhill that we ran and climbed it, and it climbed just as efficiently as it did going down it. And I had fun, both ways. If you told me I had a 3-mile climb to do a 3-mile descent, I'd want to do it on this bike.
Okay, yeah, we've done, our local trails are kind of up and down, constant up and down. There's no real recovery time. Do you feel like that bike is at a disadvantage on that terrain?
Not at all, and I was really surprised, actually pleasantly surprised, because weight, when I look at a bike, the first thing I want to know is the weight of the bike, and how it performs against that weight. So, I was a little apprehensive when, we had discussed what the weight was, stock, but when we got it out on the trail, I was impressed. I mean, because it spun up quickly, corners well. I mean, I can throw this bike around a lot. I did miss one of its strengths, and Giant did something very smart by putting a dropper on this, because it changes the characteristics of this bike a lot, and it's so quick once you get used to it. You hit a downhill section that you normal person wouldn't do, and you get used to the dropper on there, really improves the characteristics of this bike and your ability to build confidence to hit that faster and faster. Also in cornering, get the saddle out of the way, I can really lay this bike down. It feels good. So
okay, so that's kind of unique for that price point, especially with the remote dropper, and so that's why it's worth noting. All right, so the question that all this leads up to is, who do you think is really going to get the most out of the Giant Trance X1?
The person that's set on a budget or can only afford a bike that wants to do it all. You could take this bike literally, throw it down at the local racetrack. You're not going to be wore out because of the bike at the end. You're going to be wore out because of what effort you did into it. And in the same token, I could jump on this bike and go ride 30 or 40 miles, out in the mountains and feel, and have just as good a time. So anybody, that's looking to just get into the sport, or somebody that's already been in the sport but only has the budget